Whispers while you look at the title screen. Secret whispers while I make sure everything's all right. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Jason Inman, and welcome to the Saturday morning show. Today, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about Captain Kirk might be leaving Star Trek. We're talking about Captain Picard might be coming back to Star Trek. And we're going to be talking about what's going on with the XMen, because it's Saturday morning, and it's time to talk about some geeky things. Because it is the Saturday morning show. Boo, 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 boo. I promise you that I will get better special effects as this show goes on. So I want to, real quick, before we hop into any of these things, I just want to tell you what's the point. Why am I doing this show? As I set my timer for this show, because I have other afternoon things. I have things in the Saturday afternoon, not just things in the Saturday morning. But thank you for joining me. So basically, if you don't know, I have a new job now. I have a new full-time job. I have a 9-to-5 job, and this is the perfect way for me to be able to still communicate to all you super friends out there and talk about all the nerdy stuff, because I get the questions all week long, but unfortunately I'm not able to respond to them all. But I wanted to make sure that we could talk to each other, we could do the thing. As you can see, there's a cat right here in the thing. That's another thing we're going to talk about. I want to talk about new stuff in my life, and this show is to talk about all the geeky stuff on a Saturday morning and have fun. Be a little bit personal. So every Saturday at 11 a.m., barring any unforeseen circumstances, I'm going to be right here live streaming to you guys. I have brought some little fancy Star Trek Lacars screens that'll be here every morning, all this other kind of stuff like that. I have Bender joining me in the background. But, we sometimes may not talk about the news. I have a weekly poll segment. I have some action figure segments, and all kinds of stuff like that. And I have a new cat named Brego that could be constantly running around in this background. He's a nice little golden tabby, so stuff like that. Also, you can do super chat if you'd like. I'd really support. I love the support. I appreciate it. I'll probably won't answer the super chat until later on into the episode, because I got a lot of other stuff to do and a lot of stuff I really want to talk about. And also, I want to tell you that this show is basically happening because of my Patreon over at patreon.com/Jawiin. That's where we do Geek History Lesson. That's where we do live streams. And if you like this show, I'm just going to tell you, right after this show, I'm going to do a Patreon-only after show that is specifically for the patrons over there. You can get that over there at $3 a month. Brego over here is just scratching everything off camera. So if you hear some weird scratches and things like that, it is the new cat. So, all right, so let's talk about some Star Trek stuff. Let's talk about some news. A pretty interesting story broke yesterday that I really want to talk about because it might affect one of my favorite movie franchises. So apparently, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine are causing some Star Trek 4 problems. The Hollywood Reporter has reported that the actors that play James and George Kirk, that's who Chris Hemsworth played, it was pre-Thor. It was pre-Thor. You probably didn't realize that the father of James D. Kirk was in Thor as well. I know, that's kind of a fun little trivia question as well. But apparently, preview the upcoming storyline there for you. Apparently, there was a fourth Star Trek film announced in 2016 that was supposed to take place after Star Trek Beyond. And there were some initial ideas out there that it was going to be some sort of timey-wimey time travel thing where the father of James T. Kirk meets James T. Kirk and they have an adventure. Now, when I first heard this idea, I was actually very excited about it because I thought this was a great way to do a big budget adaptation of the TNG episode Yesterday's Enterprise. Now, out there, you might be like, Jason, I don't know what the hell Yesterday's Enterprise is. Well, I'm going to tell you. Yesterday's Enterprise is one of the best episodes of Star Trek that has ever been produced. And basically, the story of Yesterday's Enterprise talks about the Enterprise C comes from the past. It's from an Enterprise about 30 years before. And it meets the Enterprise D commanded by Jean-Luc Picard. Now, Jean-Luc Picard's timeline completely changes because of the Enterprise C coming to the future. So, he has to send this crew back to the past, especially after he learns, create some drama here, especially after he learns that the Enterprise C was destroyed and killed with all hands aboard. So he has to send these people back to his death. Now, imagine that same storyline with James T. Kirk finally getting to meet his father, because in this new Kelvinverse timeline, right, it's all about like my dad. Star Trek Beyond even had the drinking the whiskey scene where he was talking about like, I am now older than I have ever, I'm older than my father has ever been, which is kind of this recurring theme for modern movies now. The same line happened in Batman v Superman with Bruce Wayne, with Ben Affleck. He's like, I'm older now than my father has ever been. It's this like weird kind of middle-age sci-fi genre storytelling trope that's going on right now. So James T. Kirk, Chris Pine, has to send his dad back because the Kelvin must be sacrificed. And if you realize, remember, Nero was full of lots of time-traveling gobbledygookness and all this other stuff like that, and other various things. So that would fit in. That would, 100% go in. So apparently, both of these men now are in big comic book franchises. You have Chris Pine, who is in Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 2, or Wonder Woman 1984, whatever they're going to call it. And we also have Chris Hemsworth, who Avengers Infinity War, the biggest movie on the planet. Apparently, both of these men have walked away from the negotiating table, and that they say that they are not going to take a pay cut anymore because they are big superhero stars now. So it's interesting to think about that these two actors. Now, back in 2016, 2015, Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto signed a deal to be in Star Trek 4. So Chris Pine is apparently already locked in. So is Chris Hemsworth. Apparently is some sort of, I don't know what the negotiations are, and I'm not an entertainment lawyer because, who cares? But they're sort of locked in, but they apparently have the negotiating power, and Paramount is being a stickler with the budget, which is traditional for Paramount. If you look through the entirety of Star Trek history, Paramount sometimes lowers the amount of budgets for Star Trek movies, even though they had successful movies. They did it. First Contact was a big Star Trek movie. They lowered the budget for Insurrection. Wrath of Khan was a big Star Trek movie. They lowered the budget for Search for Spock. And they've done that time and time and time again, which is crazy. Star Trek Beyond was an underperformer, so I kind of understand the reasoning studio-wise why they are lowering the budget. But I don't know about you guys, I really, really want to see Star Trek 4. And unlike Crown Panda, LOL, who cares? I care, because I care about Star Trek. And I think that this crew is really an important part of the Star Trek franchise. Go back to 2009 Star Trek. It is J.J. Abrams' best film. And I look forward to all the comments. Everybody's like, you're crazy as The Force Awakens. No, it's not. It is Star Trek 2009. It is the best film that JJ has ever been. I had people that I've known my entire life. They've known I love Star Trek. They walked out of Star Trek 2009 and they looked at me and they said, I get it now. I understand what Star Trek is about. That's the power of that movie. And this crew started with that movie. And I really, really, really want them to have another shot at the go. I really do not want them to only have 3 movies and to be shuttered away. It was the same thing as the Next Generation movies. I wish that we'd gotten a couple more of the Next Generation characters in, and other stuff like that. And Crown Panda, I see that. Didn't mean it like that, laughing at you, saying like, who cares about internal letters? Apologies, my friend. Apologies. So Samantha Chase, I definitely agree. Thank you. We are all together with our love of the Kelvin universe. Let's move into the next story, which again, I'm a big Star Trek fan, guys, because I have a Star Trek comm badge sitting here on my desk at all times. I have by the way, this is an early segment. I think I might have shown this before. I've talked about this in Collider Heroes. So this right here, how much of a Star Trek fan I am. I have this sitting on my desk. This is an old, you can see how beaten up it is. Look how beaten up I've played with this toy. My grandmother gave me, and it's metal, you can hear it, this metal Enterprise D when I was about 6 or 7 years old, because I was loving the Star Trek The Next Generation. I was digging every part of it. And so it was very good. And she gave me this. And you can tell that I've played with it a lot because I've dropped it on concrete because I've ruined one of the nacelles. Look at how one of the nacelles is bent. But look at this. It also does the saucer separation. But this toy is like one of my favorite toys of all time. And I love it. So it sits on my desk. So that's how much Star Trek it means to me. But it's just weird that the news events of this weekend sort of lined up that we're going to be talking about Star Trek, because I know this is an old story, but I'm going to talk about this. Chris Campbell had one of those. Awesome, Chris Campbell. Did you see? Now, I would have the problem that I'd be flying it around at warp 5, probably like a 6.5 warp speed, cruising altitude, and that there's no cruising altitude in space. What am I saying here? And I would drop it. We had this spread of concrete in my backyard when I was growing up, and I would drop it. I would drop it on there, and it would break the nacelles and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, all right. So, the next story, this is kind of an older story, but last week at Star Trek Las Vegas, Patrick Stewart said, "Yo, make it so. I'm coming back to Star Trek." I know that's a terrible John Lee Picard, but Alex Kurtzman and Patrick Stewart have revealed that there's another Patrick Stewart Captain Picard series that's coming back to the air. It's going to be on CBS All Access. And if you are fans of this channel, you know that, you know my thoughts on Star Trek Discovery. You know my feelings on Star Trek Discovery. I think Star Trek Discovery is a very flawed show. I think that Star Trek Discovery loses its character arcs and loses its season arcs and its dramatic arcs, and sometimes from episode to episode, it doesn't know what type of show it is. And that's very problematic for a Star Trek show. I also think that it is semi-problematic for a show to not be about the crew instead of being about one person. Star Trek's one of Star Trek's guiding principles is about how we all come together and work towards a problem that is symbolized through the metaphor of the crew. So, Alex Kurtzman, showrunner of Star Trek Discovery. Alex Kurtzman, showrunner of this Captain Picard show. Yeah, I don't know. With that pedigree about that pedigree to have the look, I'm gonna say this, and I'm stumbling on my words here because this is one of those I love it and I hated ideas. I really do. I'm very conflicted about this because one, Patrick Stewart as Captain Picard is one of the best Star Trek captains. He's not my favorite Star Trek captain. That's Captain Sisko, played by Avery Brooks in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But Patrick Stewart and his performance in Star Trek The Next Generation as Captain Picard is what got me into Star Trek. TNG is my Star Trek. So, and I see the Super Chats, guys, everybody. As I said earlier at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to answer Super Chats until like a certain period. We're going to talk together. We're going to talk about stuff, okay? Then I'll get to your Super Chats, and then we'll go question crazy, everybody. This is Saturday morning, and I got some thoughts in my head, and I'm going to talk about it. So I'm not excited by this idea because I really feel it leans into the nostalgia factor that is everywhere in Hollywood right now. Everywhere in Hollywood right now only wants to make a movie if it is based on a property that you have heard about or seen about before. Christopher Robin looks great. They only made that movie because of Winnie the Pooh. So everything is based around, is it a previous property? Is it a book? Is it all this other stuff like that? And that is what this feels like. Captain Picard, by the way, Patrick Stewart said in several interviews over the last decade, you can find them, they're all over the internet, where he thought that Captain Picard's story is over and that he would never return to the character. So, when you hear statements like this from an actor for over a decade, you have to wonder that there's only two things that would have brought him back to the show. One is the story. They could have pitched him an amazing story, and I hope that is true. I hope there's an amazing Picard-like epic, like the Odyssey out there, like the Odes from Greek, and that it's so amazing out there. Two is they backed up a dump truck full of money to Patrick Stewart's lovely London ranch, and he said yes. Money that was too stupid to say no to. Which happens sometimes. Which happens in a lot of franchises where, the actor's like, I'm never going to do it, I'm never going to do it. Well, here's $50 million. Okay. I don't care how bad the script is. I'll do it. Because, again, you have to think about your life. You have to bring it back to real terms. And I've seen a lot of people be like, well, why would that actor ever say yes to that movie? Because the paycheck was amazing. Because when you get paid $5 million for something, $5 million could set you up, if you've invested it wisely, for the rest of your life. Of course he said yes to it. Come on. It's one of those things. So, there are some possibilities that you could do with. Now, in the non-canon of Star Trek, in the novels, in the online Star Trek universe, Captain Picard basically retires from the Enterprise. He becomes an admiral, he becomes an ambassador, and then he retires to the winery in France, where his brother's winery. So they have said a couple of times in the statements for this series that Captain Picard could possibly not be in Starfleet. So by that matter, it could be a not Captain Picard thing. He's not actually a captain, which to me is a weird choice. So you could be going like what I've seen some people in the chat say, like, is this a Last Jedi kind of idea, where Captain Picard has become disenfranchised with Starfleet and he's off on his own. Maybe he's established a winery somewhere in Mars or Andoria Prime, somewhere like that, or even on Bajor. Let's take him to Bajor. I like Bajor. It's a good planet. You know, Deep Space Nine. So there's a theory like that because it is in post-Nemesis. There is also the possibility that they could be making Captain Picard an ambassador. There's one thing that Captain Picard does way better than Captain Kirk. He's an amazing diplomat. Captain Kirk was the shoot him from the hip, have sex with space babes, and shoot people in the face. Captain Picard was the non-violent, talk will find a way. That's a perfect ambassador. That's a great ambassador. In fact, go read this comic book miniseries called Star Trek Countdown. It kind of covers that period of time. We get to see Captain Picard being an ambassador, and we get to see how it leads into Star Trek 2009. So there's that type of thing. There's also the possibility that could be a very kind of political kind of House of Cards series where it's just space politics. Now, I worry about that because that could be too cerebral. That could be too far into your head. And I don't know whether that would be enjoyable. I don't know whether that would be enjoyable if you saw scenes of Captain Picard being like, well, the space soybeans of Anzete Prime should have a tariff on them, and I don't know if that is the correct thing to do. Make it so. I don't know if that would be interesting, right? You know, talking about space gobbledygook and technobabble, who cares? Who cares? And then you get into the respect of, then why are you even making the show? I will say this. I hope the show is amazing, and I hope they pull it off, because I do not want to see them bring out Captain Picard and not knock it out of the park. If they're going to do this, I do hope they take some ideas from Logan and maybe give us Captain Picard's last ride. Like this, it's only one season, and it's his last ride. It's his final journey. And I hope that they give Captain Picard his best destiny. Like Spock said to Captain Picard, commanding a starship, being on the bridge of a starship is your best destiny. And I hope that this is the same for Captain Picard, and that he gets to die. We see his death on the bridge of a ship called Enterprise. Because if it's not Enterprise, it doesn't matter, and I don't want to talk about it. So all this kind of stuff like that, So that's where I feel on this. I hope it is. Chris Campbell asked, "Is it a miniseries or continuing series?" I do hope it is a miniseries. I really do. I don't want it to be an ongoing thing, but that's where the problem happens, is that they may not make it an ongoing thing, or they may make it a multi-season show because it's Patrick Stewart and everybody will watch it. Because what is one thing that Hollywood does? They run everything into the ground. Now, I've been asked this question a lot, and I'm going to bring it up. Kat Brody in the chat said, do you think they will bring anyone else from TNG into the show? Yes, because again, nostalgia is king. Do I think they should bring anybody else in the show? No. I love Jonathan Frakes. I look like Riker. I don't want to see old man Riker. I love Data. But Brent Spiner looks nothing like Data anymore. He has aged 15 years. Data doesn't age. He was already looking a little bit old in Star Trek Nemesis. I do not want to see Data. But the sad fact of the matter is that they're going to put all of them. All of them are going to be in it. Get ready. Because nostalgia is king, and they think that's what's going to get people to buy their streaming service. And they will say, story be damned. And they will put all of them in there. Now, the one person that could really work in this show, and the one person that could make it interesting, and the one person that you wouldn't notice is like, oh, wow, you're old. Because, look, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, I love that movie. But the crew was a little long in the teeth to be like hopping around and gallivanting through Rua Penthe, okay? They were a little bit old and stuff like that. So I don't want to see that for the TNG crew. But the one person that they could bring on who would have no effect? Worf. Because the makeup would hide his age, and also Klingons live to be 200 years old. Worf. Worf is the one you bring on. So there you go. All right, let's move into the last story. I'm not going to talk about this one that much, but they announced the other day that X-Men Dark Phoenix, by the way, this art that I'm showing right now is some fan art. I do not know who did the art, but it's an amazing job. It's combining the Frank Quitely jackets because they've been seen on set. I love those Frank Quitely jackets. But Dark Phoenix basically is going back for 3 months of reshoots. Now, again, I see all of these. People talking about, oh, reshoots. It was the thing of Justice League. It was the thing of Batman v Superman. It was the thing. Oh, reshoots mean the movie is worried. No, they don't. Reshoots happen on every movie. The thing to note on these reshoots, though, is that these reshoots are 3 months long. You can shoot an entire big-budgeted movie in 3 months. So that is where it comes into a scary thing of, like, are they reshooting this entire movie? I don't know. What do you guys? I want you guys to tell me down in the comments, actually, right now, because I'm very curious. I don't need another X-Men movie in this universe. I really, really don't. And I actually thought that X-Men Dark Phoenix was kind of going to be shelved by the Disney Fox deal. So I'm surprised that they're still going forward with this movie. I don't need another movie in this universe. X-Men Days of Future Past was the ending to this universe. And I kind of am sad that we're still going on. We're still moving forward with this universe because what is one thing that Hollywood loves? Money. And what is one thing that they think is people will go for? Hey, we got X-Men movies and people know X-Men movies. So let's just keep pumping them out because who cares? And that's a problem. That's not a good story. Now, if they might have a good story, I doubt it. But I think most people agree that this is too much reshooting, and we basically don't want this movie. All right, so that's the end of the news there, and I'm going to take a slight sippy cup. I call this my sippy cup. I don't know why. I must be 3. I'm going to take a drink of this, wonderful glass of water because I've been talking a lot. In the live chat, I know there's a little bit of a delay. In the live chat, tell me what you got planned on for the rest of Saturday. Here we go. Drink. Water break. Yep, there we go. That was good. All right, so my friends, I forgot to put the graphic in here because I'm kind of an idiot, but maybe I can do it while we're talking. Maybe I could do it while we're talking. We do comic books. We wrote Jupiter Jet and stuff like that. Guys, we have another comic book. Ashley and I are co-writing another comic book that is going to be coming out in September. We are going to be doing it, and it is called Science. And there it is right there. I don't know if you can see it right there. Science. It is about the most advanced science school in the entire world. And it's about Tamsin. And she's the smartest 14-year-old girl. But her secret is that she doesn't actually want to come to the Prometheus Academy, which is the most advanced science school in the world. She secretly wants to destroy it. Yes, and you can see some of the art. Des Pittman is our artist, and we have a lovely, lovely little logo right there. So that is going to be coming to Kickstarter on September 12th, and we have some amazing, amazing rewards going on there. So, I'm going to be promoting that as we come on. I'm really proud of this book. It's going to be an 80-page graphic novel, so it's a one and done, and you're going to get it, and we're going to draw it, and we have some really cool rewards. I'm really excited about some more. We're talking to some big comic book writers to do some script reviews for us. So if you guys are like into comic books, you're into writing, you're into stuff like that, you're definitely going to want to check out our Kickstarter. One of the people that we got to agree to do one of the script reviews for us, let's just say he writes a title that is related to this little baddish character, and his name rhymes with Pom Zing. So let's just see if you can do that, all right? Real quick on the chat, I see you guys are... Langley, Neely, you're stuck in the hospital. Dude! I'm sorry. Why are you stuck in the hospital, my friend? Well, I'm glad you could you have internet service that you can watch in this. Edward Small's going to grad school. Kid Tactical's working on cosplay. Cool. What cosplay, man? Every moment is a story is writing my story's first draft. Good on you, dude. Keep pushing through. I'm working on a first draft of something right now as well. Crown Panel, definitely buy it. Cool. Let's see, what else is everybody working on my comic book for school. I am Braden. Sweet. Please share that with me on Twitter, by the way. Oh, by the way, in the future, I would love to do a thing of questions for the Saturday morning show. Hashtag Jawiin, hashtag Saturday morning show is where I'm trying to point. It's very difficult because this camera's backwards. There we go. Right there. I know they're very small, but that's where I'm going to be like pulling questions from the week. So if you're thinking, if like during the week, you're like, hey, I got a question for the Saturday morning show. That's the way to do it. Either of those hashtags, I'll search either one of them. So there you go. All right, so we're going to come to the poll list for the week. All right, next Wednesday is August the 15th, and I thought I'd tell you about some, I have 4 comic book picks that I think you should definitely check out next week because we love comic books. I'm Jason Inman, I love comic books, and I love all that stuff, that kind of stuff. So here you go. Here are my picks for August 15th. The first one is Mage, the Hero Denied. Now, if you do not know what Mage is, this is a third part of a miniseries of a giant comic book epic. The first one is Mage, the Hero Defined. The second one is Mage, the Hero Destroyed? I forgot what that. And then the last one is Mage, the Hero Denied. So, and this is part 11. It is a great series. It is about an analog to King Arthur, and he has a light-up comic book baseball bat. It's pretty sweet. And I know this is issue 11, but I love this series. I have a Kevin Matchstick action figure on my set. I've had it for years. So the next one I would say is go pick up The Magic Order by Mark Millar and Oliver Copiel. It's a great, I really am excited about everything Mark Millar writes. Now, some stuff I love, some stuff I hate, but you know, generally you're going to get a really good time when you go from Mark Millar. The next one is Batman number 53, which is the third part of the Cold Days story arc by Tom King and Lee Weeks. Lee Weeks' art on this book is fantastic, and also I love the idea. I love Batman stories where we spend more time with Bruce Wayne. I love that. I love Bruce Wayne's on a jury, and Batman put Mr. Freeze away, and he's the one dissenting voice on this jury that he wants to keep Mr. Freeze out of prison. I love it. It's a great story idea. Then the last one is The Wildstorm. If you know me, you know I'm a big fan of The Wildstorm number 16. And, you know, Wildcats is everything. And initially I was against Warren Ellis's kind of really down-home take on the Wildstorm and the universe and stuff like that, but like he's really been kicking it into high gear, and he's been doing it really super. It's a very interesting series. It really picks up in Volume 2. So if you've read Volume 1 and you're like, I don't know about this, Volume 2 is where it's at. Volume 2 is a lot of fun. So I would kick with that. And those are my 4 comic book picks. I'll put them up one more time just in case you guys want to see them. Mage the Hero Denied, The Magic Order, Batman, and Wildstorm. So definitely go check that stuff out if you're looking for some comic books. Get them on Comixology, all this other stuff like that. Any other things, you know, ba-ba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-doo. There we go. There's the thing. So, you know, it's Saturday morning. It's all about having fun. It's all about talking about stuff I want to talk about, right? So one thing I love talking about is action figures. As you can see behind me, this is the YouTube set right back here. All kinds of action figures, all kinds of stuff like that. You know, I love action figures. I collect action figures. I've actually been really buying a lot more lately, which is fun. But I'm going to talk about action figures I love. And one came out a while ago, but I was finally able to track it down. And this is a Marvel Legends Cyclops. But it's Cyclops in his Jim Lee costume. Look at that action figure. Cyclops is one of my favorite X-Men. I love him. And a lot of people talk about like, oh, I don't like him as a character, and he's so stiff. He is the personification of Charles Xavier's dream. And this costume by Jim Lee is his best costume. Yes, I know it has a lot of pouches. Yes, I know he has so many bands. But this is, I think, Cyclops' best costume. I like the X costume that Chris Bacalo did as well. I was able to hunt it down on Amazon very recently, and so here it is. It sits on my desk. Again, like the leader of the X-Men in the X-Men's best colors, yellow and blue, is pretty awesome. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is that his belt is loose, which is very strange to me. Oh, it's actually it was unbuttoned in the back, which is so weird. All right, I don't know why they didn't just make that part of you know, that thing. So like that. All right, cool. So here we are into the next part of the show over at patreon.com. Jawiin, I asked my patrons if they had some questions for me to answer, and I am going to answer them here right now. I'm going to only pick a couple of them, and then the rest of them I'm going to do in the after show, which happens on patreon.com/Jawiin after this show. So here we go. The first Patreon question, I don't know why that's all weird like that, says, Cameron McDonald says, what was your favorite part of writing Jupiter Jet? Well, when you are writing anything, the best part of writing, I feel, for me anyways, is when you're just brainstorming. You're just coming up with every other idea, left and right, just whatever you can come up with. And, the hardest part of writing always is cutting that down, is, making sure that, that you can fit it all in within a certain amount of pages. Because with Jupiter Jet, we have 5 issues, 20 pages. So we actually had to cut storylines. There are storylines we had to cut out. Now, we're hopefully going to be able to put them into Jupiter Jet Volume 2, but you never know. You never know if you're going to be able to put that in there. But the best part of writing is just when you're sitting there and be like, what's this? Oh, wouldn't this be cool? Wouldn't this be cool? Wouldn't this be cool? So that, of course, was the best thing about Jupiter Jet, and that's where we came up with the Crazy Indy, and that's where we came up with the parachute dress, and that's where we came up with the robots, the Legates in Jupiter Jet. That's the best. That's always the best part of writing. My second Patreon question comes from Anthony Torres, who asks, is there a particular panel or scene from a comic that stands out to you as your favorite piece of comic art? Another quick water break there. Apologies. Yes. There is a panel in All-Star Superman. I didn't have time to grab it. I'm sorry. All-Star Superman, where Superman comes up behind a woman. It's 4 panels or vertical panels, and she is going to commit suicide. And basically Superman says, don't do it. And, you are worth it, and you're better than you know, and people love you, and basically that is Superman to a T for me. That is like the one piece of comic art that always stands out to me. Now, of course, another one that stands out to me, and I'm sorry, they're all Superman, is the death of Superman, where of course he dies and he's in Lois's arm, and his 2-page question and stuff like that. And then another one for me is the cover of there's a cover of Batman when Jim Lee was doing Hush, where it's Nightwing and Batman running at the camera, and I love that because I see it as a father and son sort of image. So, so there you go. Okay, so now is the time where I'm going to be coming into your chat, the live chat, the people that are here, the currently all the people that are in the chat right now, the 91 people of you currently watching right now. I'm going to take your questions. Of course, super chats do take priority, my friends, because I thank you for all that support. And super chats are definitely going to be a big determination, like Saturday morning, staying around, doing this every Saturday, stuff like that. So I have a super chat. I have Kid Tactical has a couple super chats. Let's see if I can bring them up on screen here. There he is. So Kid Tactical says, you can see all my tabs there. Roy Harper Geek History Lesson, Kid Tactical. Okay, sure. I mean, just because thank you for the 2 super chats. Thank you, by the way, the Kid Tactical for the two as well. But just because you super chat them doesn't mean that we have a long list, and we put them in. I think that Roy Harper, I'm actually going to add it to the list right now where we're talking Kid Tactical. We have a giant fan list. By the way, if you didn't know, for Geek History Lesson, our podcast, we have over 300 suggestions. 300 suggestions for Geek History Lesson. So we're getting to them. But as you can tell with every... it's already been requested. All right, I'll add you to the list. As you can tell, we schedule our lessons around things where they would be most meaningful, where they'd be important, stuff like that. So that's what we do with Geek History Lesson. So I could see Roy Harper coming around, maybe around Heroes in Crisis and stuff like that, and things like that. All right, some other questions are: what are your thoughts on the new Flash suit? It looks okay. I don't know why they didn't change it. They had a perfect Flash suit. I don't know. I really don't know why they changed it, to be honest with you. Sports Nerd Web says, who would you like to write the upcoming Uncanny X-Men? I don't care. As long as it's a good writer. I don't really care. To me, I found picking writers doesn't matter anymore. Because writers that you think might be bad can surprise you. And writers that are great can write terrible stories. We're seeing it happening a lot right now. So, yeah. Zayas Lou, you're requesting another Geek History lesson. So, guys, I love the Geek History lesson recommendations. But if you put them in here, I'm never going to remember them. So, please request them through the channels that we say on every single episode. On Facebook Geek History Lesson, on the Twitter of Geek History Lesson. That's where you request. That's where we go through. That's where we scroll. Don't make this chat the Geek History Lesson day. Let's wait on that. Let's see. Andy, if they do a TNG blockbuster movie, who would you cast for Picard? Bryan Cranston. Aaron Howard, any advice on making comics? Make them. I know that sounds very curt, but that's it. If you want to make a comic, make a comic. Find an artist, draw it, do it. Stop talking about it because you're talking about it because you're looking for the magic key or the solution that will make that comic for you. I'm going to give you a hard piece of truth. And I find this more and more and more. I get this question a lot where people are like, how do I do this? They're looking for the genie or the magic answer that will solve that. There is no genie. You know what gets that comic made? Hard work. Making that comic, making that thing, making that podcast. That's the genie. There is no genie, and no creator out there has the magic genie for you. But everybody thinks they do. So Aaron Howard, good luck on your comic. Make it. Make it a reality. Stop talking about it and make it a reality. Rachel Sejaman says, ever think about doing toy reviews for the channel? No, because I'm kind of done with reviews. To be honest with you, I'm really done with reviews. So for this channel going forward, guys, we're going to do something like the Saturday morning show will be here. And then we're going to do DC TV recap, which will review Arrow and Flash, and that's it. And then we might still do fan theories, but because of the new job, I do not have time. Also, I'm tired of talking about other people's stuff. I really am. And I'm reviewing 5 DC shows within 1 week really burned me out on reviews. It really burned me out because 1, I was watching so much television, and 2, so much of it was bad. It was bad. So I'm scrolling back the reviews. I just don't want to review anything anymore. Is kind of the way I feel about it. So yes. Let's see. Jonathan Peck, have you considered doing a recap for season 1 and doing reviews for season 2? No. Steve Johnson, thanks for Damien's GHL. The All Ghoul family is not complete. I appreciate the no problem. Steve Johnson, I had a lot of fun doing the Damien episode, and I think if you listen to that episode, I think I convinced Ashley that there's a lot of worth to Damien. So, yeah, I think it's really good. I had a lot of fun doing that lesson. Let's see. That's true. Let's see here. Trying to find some more questions for you guys. Again, don't forget Super Chat is out there, my friends. Thoughts of Sam Witwer as Agent Liberty from Jason and Dorfer. Sam Witwer is a good actor, and I'm an acquaintance with him. I think he'll do a good job. Agent Liberty is an interesting idea for that show. Let's see. Travis Mercer, your prediction for the character death in the upcoming Heroes of Crisis. Roy Harper. Kid Tactical's not going to like that. I'll tell you that. So, Balooey, what are your thoughts on Ruby Rose as Batwoman? I haven't seen Ruby Rose act in anything. I'll see it when I see it. That's my thoughts. Let's see here. Will you do a video on the Marco Turner? Will you do a video on the CWDC TV new season trailers? Nope, because WBTV locks down every video I make about the only videos. So here's a funny story. WBTV shuts off the monetization of any CW video I do now, with the exception of the Arrow videos. Now they've stopped recently, but so I'm not for the foreseeable future. Don't expect any Arrow videos or anything like that because WBTV doesn't like me making them. I don't know why, but they do. So yeah. Jay Oliveira says, "Hey, loved you at the Schmodown. Got me here. Excited to see your vids. Thank you." Carl P says, "What is his new job?" I think I've told this a couple of places. So I am part of the support staff now for a CBS television show. I'm actually working in television, guys, which is a dream. You guys know, I've always wanted to be a television writer. That's the goal. That's what I've wanted to do. So my full-time job, I've been working there since June, the end of May. I am the showrunner's assistant for a new CBS drama called The Code. It's going to be on CBS, primetime CBS, the CBS drama in February. It's 13 episodes. And here's the other thing about that is that it is about Marines. So I am I'm a vet. I was a veteran of the Army. I was in the Army for 6 years. So it's kind of a perfect fit. And the showrunner, who I don't know if I can say his name or not, so I won't. But the showrunner has worked on Star Trek before. So I get to work with him every day, and I'm in the writer's room, and I get to see the writer's room, and it's a dream job. It's an amazing job. So that is my full-time job right now. So hopefully soon, I get to actually write some episodes and then do other stuff like that. Okay, let's go back to some questions. Chai Che says, "Do you like how Priest wanted to make Damien's Deathstroke scent?" I actually didn't read it. Rachel Sejaman, favorite Batmobile design in the movies? I liked the Tumbler because it looked like the Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. Jay Oliveira says, thoughts about Black Lightning. Did you like the first season? I have so many review videos for Black Lightning. It hurts, my friend. Go use Google, my friend. Alex M, did you like Battlestar Galactica? Of course I like Battlestar Galactica. So yeah, there you go. Every moment of the story says, got to say that you do the best Quentin Lance impressions, by the way. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Captain Lance is not going to be in the show anymore. I'm on a different show. I'm in a pilot. But don't worry, I'm going to be watching Ancient Aliens. Don't worry about that. I got that. Law? God damn it, Law. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so I think that is about it, guys. I don't see any more questions in the chat or any stuff like that. Thank you so much for making this Saturday morning show a great experience. Again, I want you to learn more about my life. Let's learn about yours. Let's talk about nerd stuff. Did you guys real quick in the chat, you guys are around. Did you like this? Was this great? Do you want to see this every Saturday? Let me know down in the chat. Let me know right now. Don't forget, after this show, I'm going to log off here, and I'm going to go to patreon.com/Jawiin, and I'm going to do an after show over there on patreon.com/Jawiin. So that is where I will be 10 to 15 more minutes. I'll answer some more questions and stuff like that. And I got to promote Science. Our next original graphic novel comic, Science, is coming to Kickstarter in September. So be on the lookout. I'm going to talk about that. So plan is 11 a.m. every Saturday morning. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be talking. I'm going to be doing stuff. I hope you enjoyed the show. Real quick, I had a super chat come up. I got to answer this before I go here real quick. Hold on. Let me see how I bring up super chat real quick. Let's see here. Jonathan Peck says, is the Orville a parody or an homage Trek show? That's a great question, Jonathan Peck. That is actually that's a smart question. Is it a parody or is it an homage? It's kind of both, right? Because it is making fun of Star Trek, which I love. But it is an homage because they're not exactly... Okay, here's where I would say it's an homage. And the reason why is because I think a parody is more like what we did in Red Shirt Diaries. So I think that is what... I think that's what the parody line is. Because we were actually in the Star Trek world. Saturday Night Live sketches would be parodies. It's an homage because it's an original thing. It's an original ship. It's an original uniform. That's a great question, by the way. That was a great question in the show. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, guys, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jawiin, Jawiin, and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday morning show. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please become a subscriber to this channel and do that stuff like that. I know, I've seen all the people across the world that are like, it's midnight over here. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. So I'm doing stuff like that. If you're a patron of mine, head on over to Patreon. I'll start that stream very quickly, and we'll do that stuff over there. Thank you so much for watching. This was a lot of fun. I love that you guys, we get to join, we get to share our Saturday morning shows. And again, I'm going to be a lot more personal in this show and stuff like that and everything. So have a lovely Saturday. Enjoy your day off. And I'll be seeing you, super friends. Bye-bye.